Welcome to episode 2 of the Adventure Rig Rehab project on our 1998 Jeep TJ here. I was going through some further inspection and pulled out the axle shafts just to have a look and realized that the passenger side axle shaft on the splines on the interior in our differential had a twist and looked like a little fracture in them. So I went ahead and ordered some new axle shafts, some 4340 chromoly axle shafts from East Coast Gear Supply, and we're going to bust that out today. Get this wheel off and hub, and swap out both axle shafts with some new U-joints. I'm not really sure when that happened. It could have been all the way back when I seized up this diff in Trona Pinnacles. That was a huge mistake. But I don't know if it twisted then or twisted being bound up in something. I'm impressed that it's ran this far. But regardless, we get this busted out and get some new shafts in. It's kind of a unique axle situation we've got going on here. This is a Dana 30 center section and C's, and then the hubs are a conversion kit to a CJ or a Dana 44 outer. So we have manual locking hubs out here. And that was a huge benefit when we seized up the center section in this. I was able to unlock the whole front and just run on the hubs and still had two-wheel drive. When you're running a unit bearing or something like that, if something happens in between there, there's nothing you can do. You break a shaft or something like that, you're just kind of stuck. So this was already done to the Jeep when I bought it. Worthwhile upgrade by the guy who built it the first time around. Makes it a little goofy when you have to get rotors, though. You have to have these drilled. Still uses TJ brakes as far as calipers and pads go. But the bolt pattern is out to a 5 on 5.5, for a standard TJ or XJ would be a 5 on 4.5. So it's different wheels. And having the rotors drilled. Machined down, I think it is. I don't remember which. It's a CJ rotor and had the outside machined down. It's been a while. Had a little grease on there from when we reinstalled it in order to save the seal on the inside. Let's see if we can get you in here close. I'll show you what I'm talking about, and I'll show you a new one for difference. Right here, all these splines, in theory, would be perfectly straight. Then right around here, there's a little hairline fracture all the way around. And then it's got a slight, these are all twisted. And this is the portion that was inside the differential. Right here, up to this point, and that's where all the torque stress fractured that and twisted the shaft. The rotating mass of the wheel, and something stopping. So we'll get this one popped off, get a new one on, new U-joint, show you what a new shaft should look like. I guess we inspected the outside of these splines too, and these are in straight and good looking condition. On our stub shaft here. All right. Just pound it up. Well, we got a new U-joint popped in here, so that came out easy. It's nice working on stuff that's from the desert. Clips reinstalled, threw a little coat of paint on the outer portion of the shaft. And then if you come in closer, you can see these splines are nice and straight. as opposed to the other ones that had that big twist right here. So that I left this seal surface bare of any paint. I'll shove that back in there. Just going to use a tickle of bearing grease just around the end of the shaft. Hopefully not bang up that seal, that inner axle seal on the differential as we try and slide this in. So the longer side is a little bit more tricky. Use some leverage to balance that up. There we go. Nice. Starting to drizzle out here, so we are in short order to get this assembled back together.
That 2% chance of rain.
Yeah. Wisconsin weather, it's bipolar. Getting the hub assembled here. So be careful when you slide it down over the threads and splines of the hub, not to score the seal that's on the back. And I slid that in with the front bearing in place. These hubs are already pretty packed. I just had this apart to check that. I packed them while they were out. So I'm going to take this inner axle nut, which has got a little alignment dowel on it for the lock ring, which is a secondary part going on here. I'm going to thread this all the way on. Right now it's spinning freely. And this will suck this all the way up. I'll tighten that down tight. And then there's a little bit of a procedure to get the right bearing, wheel bearing preload, I guess. Still spinning freely here. Get that seated tight. Yeah, that's tight. I'm gonna break it loose. It's loose, I can move it with my fingers. Really aren't gonna be able to see that. So back it off. Get it to finger tight. And then take it back about a quarter turn. And we'll use this alignment and lock washer, which has a tab that aligns with a portion on the hub here, and then that alignment dowel on the washer on the inside. Get that lined up. that little dowel. Right there. So the keyway is right there. A little alignment dowel down here. So that washer will sit flush. We'll add our second nut. All right, a little better. Thread that on as a lock nut. Torque the bejesus out of that. We should have a properly set wheel bearing. Don't want them too sloppy or too tight. If they're too tight, they'll build up a lot of heat. So if you ever take this for a test drive, touch the hubs. They should be warm to the touch, but not hot. So you should be able to grab them, put your hand on them, and hold it there. If you can't hold it there, then the hub's too tight. Downsides of working outside, I got pine needles in my wheel bearings. Sure that helps. Alright, I actually get the locking mechanism back in here. Sometimes that takes a little finagling to get both sets of splines lined up. The inner set here, and then the outer set that's on the outside of the hub. Like right there. Rock it back and forth. And that sits all the way on, and that's the locking function. That presses in. That's going to turn that. And right over here, I have that pressed in. Hub's locked, engaged. I let that go. Free spinning. Engaged. Free spinning. Just a couple of snap rings to hold everything in place. Around the outside. There we go.
So when you turn that, then it pushes the spring down, and that pushes the...
Yep.
I was always curious about how that worked. I'm just turning a dial, but there's a spring inside that cap, and then it pushes on that.
Yeah, fair enough. And as you turn this, that spring expands. Like that. Pull it back to free here. That's what pushes on this outer ring, or inner ring rather. That's what engages the hubs. Twist it all the way around, and that tension is what pushes that in.
Nice.
Get that lined up. Back on the Jeep today. Got rained out the other day getting the passenger side axle shaft done. So now we're gonna have to knock apart the driver's side, but I'm not doing it. She's gonna do it. She watched me go through the other side yesterday, and she's been learning a lot over the years of us traveling and working on stuff as we go. So she's gonna tackle this side as much by herself as she can. I'll help her out through a few things, but let's do it.
Let's do it.
What it's doing.
That'd be why.
You might have to some time in the Ugga Duggas.
Okay.
It's only on 2 for.
So don't be afraid to just give it all she's got.
Just give her the beans.
Awesome. And the first thing I want to do is take off the brake calipers.
Yeah, we can start with the caliper. Bungee to hang up our caliper. And remember, you're not facing the nut.
So we'll go.
It's the same direction on there, but for when you are loosening it, it's going to be a little backwards. Bingo. That top one, just watch the brake line.
And there's 3 bolts on this?
2.
2?
Little pro tip for you. I'm working outside right now, and even in general, I like using baggies to keep all the bolts separate. If you need to, you can label them. I've done this a lot and know these bolts, so I know where they go, but especially working outside and when we're doing field stuff, that way I can keep all the dust and crap that's just flying in the air out of the bolts. And that will pull off out of here. Kind of rock it back and up. Yeah, a little tight.
Okay.
Boop. So I think with anything techie or whatever, working on stuff, there's always little nuanced details to everything. Whether you're cooking or wrenching, whatever it is, there's little details. And even like this right now, how to use your hands with the tools you're using. So you can either spin it around like she's doing right now with this, otherwise you can take it out and then use the other side and spin it between your fingers. So there's like little techniques into using each tool and how you use your hands. So the guy seems to be a little lost these days. And learning those little nuances and how you'd hold a wrench and what's faster and what's effective, things like that. And so it just comes with practice and time when you're working on stuff. Figure out what works well and what's taking you extra time and how do you manipulate your hands to work on things. So in here, we're not just smacking down, so we got to smack the seal off this hub. It's not just down, it's back and towards you. So
Okay.
I cup the back of it with my hand and then smack, and you're going to hit like this.
Okay.
Coming across. And the more you're choked up on a hammer, the less force there is.
Okay. So back up.
So same thing, just keep going. Yep, see it start to separate right there?
Yep.
Oh, hang on. Now spin the hub. So it comes off evenly, not just one direction. And then do the same thing. There you go. Start to separate. Keep going. There it goes.
Do I go spin it again then?
You're getting both of them separated pretty good. You kind of just turn it over. Separate that all the way out. Then, ooh, nice catch. Nice catch.
Heart just jumped a little bit.
The next step in the process here is the 2 rings. One on the inside right there. And one on the outside.
Okay. Does it matter where I grab the ring from?
Kind of. So these 2, it's tricky. There's a little bit of a gap here.
Mm-hmm.
So you can kind of sneak the pick in behind it and kind of pry forward. And sometimes you'll need to use either your finger to hold it in place, because otherwise it's just going to spin around. You can use the other small screwdriver to either hold it in place, dig it into the edge here in this groove,
Okay.
and then peel that forward. So you can just kind of hold it there, and then shove that one across the top, and then they kind of go flying. Get that over. Yep. See if you shove the pick in a little bit. That's those little nuances. Figuring out how far it needs to go in, and how you manipulate the part. There you go. Grab another bag.
Okay. But that is a little tricky because you don't want, I didn't want to like go too hard on it and like have it bounce back or to
Yeah.
scratch anything.
You don't want to stretch it, you don't want to score anything bad. Slip and puncture yourself. Anywho, the outside one is not quite as fun as that one. So wherever the edge is, you go in and find the separation, that snap ring. That one, same kind of deal. You're gonna need to hold one side in place and then peel into the other. And then just pull it out.
All right.
It's not bad.
No? It was more tricky finding where the end was.
And it's gonna be suctioned in with grease. You're gonna have to wobble it a little bit. There it comes.
I'm going the right way, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Ah.
Awesome.
Powder.
It's tricky. And then this one is just a washer.
Then, yep. Next one's a washer.
Do you get it out with the
Then you
knees?
get it out with, I usually use a pick.
Okay.
Maybe those might fit in there too. Grab around the edge of it.
Got a big old glob of grease. Oh, I mean it.
Nope, not at all.
Okay. There it goes. All right, there's the inner one. Whew. And then that's it. That's inside of that, correct?
Yep.
So then I can just take the hub off.
Yeah. Then there's an outer axle bearing. So just when you're taking it off, be careful not to dump it out.
Right.
Just stick your fingers in the hole and pull it out. There you go. Next up is the 3 bolts on the back side of the hub there. Spindle.
All right. All 3 are out.
Nice.
So now the tricky part.
Just pull it out. So then use your hand on the back side and support this so it doesn't rip the seal as it comes out. And now you should be past the seal. So it doesn't really matter. And pull her all the way out.
All right.
There you go. Get this little inspection. This one twist too. That one still looks pretty good.
You can see like
Definitely got some wear and some heat.
right here it looks like it might.
See if there is a little twist in this one too or not. Oh, there's definitely some wear there on the gear engagement inside the differential. So, all right, let's go take this over to the vise and I'll bust that apart. We're gonna touch on this while we're at it and how we're actually gonna remove the stub shaft from the whole assembly here, the U-joint. So I want to get this in a vise where it's gonna support the ears of the opposite side of the shaft that I'm working on, or an anvil or something. So that this portion can move, the outside stub shaft. Then right here, I'm gonna strike hard and quick, and then we're gonna hopefully drop that out. The other side came apart really easy. So high hopes for this side. And I made a mistake, dung that up pretty good. Oh, we'll have to massage that back into place. But comes that side. I get the needle bearings come out with that. Aha. And rinse and repeat. Cap's loaded up with a little bit of grease. And our new shaft. Now we spin that out. Joint fitted in there. Being careful not to spill the needle bearings all over the place. That one will hold that kind of in place. Split the difference a little bit. Crank that out. Alright. Crank it back together. Jiggle that a little bit. Yep, go ahead.
Keep going?
Yep.
There's a lot of pressure. Is that normal?
Yep. Doing those press fit joints, there's going to be a lot.
Okay.
It's definitely easier to do in a press, but we've got a vise. There we go.
Do you have to switch sides, or?
We're pressing pretty close to even right now. Get a little bit of grease on the end of this as we reinstall here. Popping these U-joints out isn't too bad, but I actually ended up breaking the vise getting these back together. So, Harbor Freight warranty, here I come. It's a lot of force to get these back together so we can get the clips on the back side of the U-joint. But I'm gonna get this in here. Get a little grease on the end. Hopefully protect the seal a little bit as I'm trying to shove this back in. And then Chelsea's going to come back in and reassemble the hub. Install that, just kind of trying to keep it in the center of the tube. And once you feel the seal, slide it in. And turn a little bit to get the splines lined up. And there it is. That's another project knocked off their Jeep's rehab list and getting this adventure ready to head out. Thanks for watching. And on next week's episode, we'll be headed out on another big project. We're headed over to a buddy's place, and we're going to end up swapping the transmission and throwing a clutch in this thing. All right. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.